Let me ask y'all this question. Is the truth boring to you? I want you to reflect on that. We're gonna go into a story in Second Kings. So let's go to Second Kings chapter 5, verse 1. Now Naaman, he was a captain of the host of the king of Syria, was a great man with his master and honorable, because by him the Most High the Lord had given deliverance unto Syria. He was also a mighty man of valor, but he was a leper. So he was a top military general, but he was a leper. He had some type of skin disorder, all right, that disfigured his skin. Let's keep going. Verse 2, and the Syrians had gone out by companies and had brought away captive out of the land of Israel a little maid, and she waited on Naaman's wife. So Syria already took over the northern kingdom of Israel. It was already conquered, or in the process of being conquered fully, but they were already kind of taking care of that land. All right. And they took captives back to Israel, or back to Syria, and one of them was a little girl. In verse 3, and she said unto her mistress, would God my Lord were with the prophet that is in Samaria, for he will recover him of his leprosy. So he said, if he would go back to my homeland, then my God could heal him from his leprosy. Verse 4, and one went in and told his Lord, saying thus and thus, and said, the maid that is in the land of Israel. And the king of Syria said, go, I will send a letter unto the king of Israel. And he departed and took with him 10 talents of silver, 6,000 pieces of gold, and 10 changes of raiment. So he took a lot of money and clothes to Israel. In verse 6, and he brought the letter to the king of Israel, saying, now when this letter is coming unto thee, behold, there was sent Naaman my servant to you, that thou mayest recover him of his leprosy. So the Syrian king sent a letter to the Israel king. All right. And it came to pass when the king of Israel had read the letter, that he rent his clothes and said, am I God to kill and make alive, that this man does send unto me to recover a man of his leprosy? Wherefore consider, I pray you, and see how he seeketh a quarrel against me. So the king of Israel, he's getting frantic. He's like, I can't cure no man from leprosy. He's like, who do you think I am? I'm not God. So he's like, he's doing this just to start trouble with me. But then verse 8, and it was so when Elisha, the man of God, had heard that the king of Israel had rent his clothes, that he sent to the king, saying, wherefore hast thou rent thy clothes? He said, why did you rip your clothes? Let him come now to me, and he shall know there is a prophet in Israel. So Elisha was very confident. He's like, oh yeah. And he's like, don't stress out about that. I'll take care of this. So verse 9. So Naaman came with his horses and with his chariot and stood at the door of the house of Elisha. That's like, imagine someone comes to your house with all these limousines, and he pulls up in a private jet. He come in all souped out. He got Brooks Brothers suit and Gucci belt. He got everything on. He flashed. And Elisha, he sent a messenger out to him, saying, go and wash in the Jordan 7 times, and our flesh shall come again to thee, and thou shalt be clean. So Elisha, he didn't go outside to meet this man. He just sent his servant. He sent his messenger and said, hey, my master told me, tell you, just go to the Jordan and wash yourself. So, Naaman felt the type of way. So verse 11, Naaman was wroth. He was very angry. He went away and said, behold, I thought he would surely come out to me and stand and call on the name of the Most High, his God, and strike his hand over the place and recover this leper. And so he's like, I thought he was going to like lay hands on me and say this magnificent prayer and be like, oh, the Lord going to save you. He's going to do all this. He wanted this extra stuff. He was for all the extra attention. He wanted all the that charismatic things that you see in the modern day Christian church. He wanted all the extra stuff. But he said, like, why do this? This is too simple, right? In verse 12, and he said, are not Abana and Pharpar, rivers of Damascus, better than all the waters of Israel? So he's saying, like, our rivers are better and cleaner than the rivers of Israel. He said, why should I be here? Why should I wash myself here? I could just wash myself at home if that was all I had to do. And he said, may I not wash in them and be clean? So he turned and went away in rage. He was so mad. In verse 13, his servants came near, because the servants, they like, hey, this is really a prophet. He said, maybe we should listen to this man. He said, and his servants came near and spake to him, said, my father, if the prophet had bid thee to do some great thing, would thou have done it? And how much rather than when he says to thee, wash and be clean. So he said, like, if the prophet would have told you to carry up 7 pounds of goats up a mountain 7 times, you would have did that. So, why are you upset that he's just telling you to go wash in a lake for 7 times? Like, it's like, what's the big deal? Like, just do it. He said, why you need this big thing? But that's a big lesson, because I think a lot of times we expect the salvation to be some big magnificent event, which it was in regards to what Christ did or Hamashiach did on the cross, but we expect ours to do something as so many magnificent. We expect to do the same thing. Like, I gotta sell everything. I gotta live like a hobo and be like homeless because I'm not worthy to get that. And it's like, some things, some struggles some people have to go through, but there are some things that we put upon ourselves because we want to be that super ascetic. We want to be asceticism. We want to dwell in that, self affliction type thing. He's like, like naming the type of dude. It's like, I thought I had to cut and walk over coals of fire. Like, I thought I had to swim 10 miles in order to be healed. Like, he wanted that extra stuff to feel like he accomplished something. But he's like, no, just do this. Do what I tell you. That's all you got to do. If you listen to me, you'll be healed. But that's the thing. Listening is sometimes the hardest thing for us to do, because we're programmed to almost be hyper successful. We have to achieve something to feel good about it, but that's how it's like the Most High works differently. The glory that he gets, it goes to him. It doesn't go to us. Sometimes we want to be a part of it. We want to be like, oh, I got it too. So he's like, he just completely rips us out the equation. Right. So then verse 14, then he went down and dipped himself 7 times in the Jordan, according to the saying of the man of God, and his flesh came again like the flesh of a little child, and he was clean. So he did what he did, and he was clean. So let's go back to the question I proposed in the beginning of the study. I said, is knowing the truth boring to you? I say that because I think a lot of people, when they hear the truth or they hear, the scriptures, what the Most High says in his word, they hear it, but they almost feel like, that's not cool. That's not exciting. It's almost like you meet somebody like a wife material woman or a husband material man, and you see how this person interacts in life, and you're like, yeah, you say that's cool, but you don't do anything that's like fun. You just work all day. You just take care of your responsibilities. You just care about family and you read the Bible, but you don't do anything fun. It's like we almost see that as boring sometimes. Like, man, like, you don't do anything else with your life. That's how but that's a reflection on us rather than the person, because that person seems to be very content with their life. But for some reason, we feel a sense of restlessness and knowing that this person is content. And, we realize that we don't really want what we desire. We have a kind of a confliction. So I want to question that so we can hopefully improve on regards to what we know about the truth, about the knowledge that we try to, walk in every day. So this is a question. Is the truth boring to you? What I mean by that? Do you think that the Most High wants you to do? Do you think what the Most High wants you to do is too simple? What does that mean? For example, some people think it's too hard for another group. Some people think what the Most High wants them to do is too hard, but another group think it's too simple. Well, like being a helpmate, like being a wife. When some women, they read the Bible and be like, that's all I got to do is just, be a wife to a man. That's my life. That's my duty. Be a helpmeet. Most I want to be the deacon. I want to be the prophetess. I want to be I want to be evangelism and preach to the gospel to the whole nations. I want to do all this and I want to build this and I want to do that. And he's like, no, I just want you to be a helpmeet to this man. Help this man become a better man so you can be a better woman. I want you to raise the children. And he's like that. A lot of women nowadays, they think that's too simple. That's boring. I don't want to just do that. Or what about your role in the congregation or the church or the body of Messiah, the body of Christ? Do you want to be the eye when you're really called to be the foot, or you want to be the right hand when you're really called to be the stomach. Sometimes everybody wants to be the leader. Everybody wants to be the speaker. Everybody wants to have a voice in the group. Everybody wants to be the teacher. Nobody wants to be the researcher. And people want to be, the main person that everybody gets to meet, the greeter. But nobody wants to be the person that cleans the seats, washes the clothes, washes the dishes, mops the floors. We have to know our role, because if we all each know our role and what we do, then we make everything successful, because we all work in our particular field. Someone could be the best garbage person in the whole world. They can maybe be the best garbage person in the whole world, but they're trying to be this high-ranking lawyer. You could be you could be the best boxer in the whole world, but your whole life you're complaining that you're not, 6'4", so you want to be a football player, but you're 5'6", but you could be the best lightweight boxer in the whole world. But you're so upset that you're not 6'4", that you didn't get to play basketball. But because you didn't focus on your other talents, you got a lot of talents. We all have a talent. We all have a gift. And, sometimes we may feel like our gift is not exciting as the next person's, but that person's life is not our life. So we have to embrace what the Most High has given us and cultivate it to the best of our ability. All right. Is learning to understand the Most High boring to you? What does that mean? So let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 18. So it says, for the preaching of the cross is to them that perish foolishness, but unto us which are saved, it is the power of God. So when Paul was preaching the gospel, a lot of the people, the Greeks, they thought it was foolishness. They're like, you believe in a man that died on a cross, and y'all believe that this is y'all savior? That's foolishness. That's ridiculous. Why would you put your hope in the man that you claim died and was resurrected? What does that have to do with me? What does that have to do with like wisdom? I want to know the secrets of life. And you telling me you're pointing me to this man that you claim was the Son of the Most High. I don't understand that. That's foolishness to a lot of people. But verse 19 said, for it is written, I will destroy the wisdom of the wise and will bring to nothing the understanding of the prudent. I think that's in Isaiah, I believe. But he's saying that this was a prophecy that the Most High is going to destroy the wisdom of the wise who think they're the wise. Allegedly, they're wise. And he's going to bring their understanding to nothing. So verse 20 said, where is the wise? Where's the scribe? Where's the disputer of the world? Where's the debater? Has not God made the foolish of the wisdom of this world? For after that, in the wisdom of God, the world by wisdom knew not God. It pleased God by the foolishness of preaching to save them that believe. So he's like, these people who strive to be so educated and be so allegedly wise that they actually miss what the Most High wanted them to do. They started creating their own philosophies. They're like, oh, I'm so wise now. I don't even believe that the Most High created me. I believe I evolved from a primate. I believe I evolved from an amoeba. It's like they became so intelligent, quote unquote, that they created their own philosophies and their own religions on their origins. They forsook the Most High's book. They're so wise now, they be like, you know what? I don't have to be labeled as a gender. It's like I could be whatever I want to be. They're so educated in regards to that. They created their own standards of living, their own standards of right and wrong. So the Most High, he's saying, I'm not using them to bring into my people, into my kingdom. I'm bringing the foolish people, those who really don't understand, who weren't the most educated, they weren't most successful, but they're the ones that I'm calling out of this world. Verse 22, for the Jews require a sign and the Greeks seek after wisdom. But we preach Christ crucified. Onto the Jews is a stumbling block, and onto the Greeks foolishness, because the Jews, they looking for this King David, earthly, carnal Messiah, this king figure. And they're like, he's saying, like, no, he was crucified, but he's going to come back and save us in the kingdom to come. And they're like, I can't get with that. I need a king right now. And the Greeks, they just looking at that's like, this ain't deep. This ain't Aristotle. This ain't, this ain't Homer. This ain't deep. This ain't poetic. I can't deal with this. But he said, verse 24, but unto them which are called, both Jews and Greeks, Christ, the power of God and the wisdom of God, because the foolishness of God is wiser than men, and the weakness of God is stronger than men. For ye see your calling, brethren, how that not many wise men after the flesh, not many mighty, not many noble are called. So y'all know it's like just, he said, y'all didn't come from the richest family, y'all didn't come from the most educated family. But he said that he didn't call those people. He called 27, but God has chosen the foolish things of the world to confound the wise. God has chosen the weak things of the world to confound the things which are mighty. And the base things of the world and the things which are despised has God chosen, yea, the things which are not to bring to naught things that are. That's why it's like, the people that, they say that are not worth much, the people who are at the bottom of the society, the Most High is using them, to kind of expose a lot of things in this world. That's why I said, that's why it's prophetic that the so-called black men and so-called black women are at the bottom, because it's important that he wanted us to be in this position. So when he raises up his people from the bottom, they'll be seen as like, oh, we're not going to listen to them. They come from this. These are these people. But these are the people that are actually telling you the truth. So it's like they're going to be condemned because, they despise the messenger. So. All right, let's keep going back to the story. All right, verse 15. So this is Naaman. So he returned to the man of God. He and all his company came and stood before him and said, behold, now I know there is no God in all the earth, but in Israel. Now, therefore, I pray thee, take a blessing of thy servant. So Naaman, he did what he said. Now he said, now I understand, your God is real. And he said, as the Lord liveth, that you will liveth before whom I stand, I will receive none. And he urged him to take it, but he refused. So Elisha was like, no, I'm not. I didn't do this for the money. And it's like the Most High didn't tell me to do things for money. And that's why it's like, a lot of gifts that we have, like in regards to making music and putting it out, we didn't, we're not doing this to make, to be millionaires, to be, we're doing this. Me personally, I do this because I want to be able to have a life that is able to just be sustained by my own work without being dependent on a corporation. So if a corporation mandates certain things and certain things that I have to do that I may not want to do, I have the ability to manage my own life and take care of my family, take care of myself without, having my own stream of income that's directly to my creativity rather than, my connection to a corporation, because the Most High will supply my needs through my work. So that's what, hopefully, that's what the Most High will do. And I pray that he is able to do that. But, we don't do this to make, rich and famous lives. We just want to live content in this life that we have out here in this life while we still, still living on this earth. All right, let's keep going on. In verse 17, Naaman said, shall there not then, I pray thee, be given to thy servants 2 mules burden of earth? For thy servant will henceforth offer neither burnt offering nor sacrifices unto other gods, but unto the Most High. So he said, like, let me just take 2, let me get like some pounds of dirt of this earth. He's going to take it back to Syria, because he said, I will never sacrifice to another God besides the Most High. He said, just let me take that. And he said, verse 18, and this thing may the Most High pardon thy servant, that when my master goes into the house of Rimmon to worship there, this is one of the temples to the Syrian gods, and he leans on my hand, and I bow myself to the house of Rimmon. When I bow down myself in the house of Rimmon, may the Most High pardon thy servant in this thing. So he's asking, he's like, he understands, he has a conviction in his heart already. He's like, when I go back home, they don't believe in the Most High. They don't believe in Yah. So he's like, they're going to still worship their gods. And, I'm a servant to my master. So it's like, my master's going to expect me to still worship the gods that he worships. So he said, have mercy on me when I go back. That's why sometimes it's important to be set apart, because sometimes the people that you were close to before you came into the knowledge, they're going to bring you back into, the worship of things that you didn't used to do. And sometimes it's going to be very difficult to kind of set them apart, to set it apart from their mind, because they're not going to be able to understand sometimes why you're doing things the way you're doing. Because he's like, I can't worship, I worship the Most High now. But they're like, you did this your whole life. You became a commander. You're the top general. You've been worshiping these guys your whole life. Now you want to worship the Most High? And so he's like, it's going to be very difficult for Naaman, but that's his destiny he has to go through. So, Elisha, he says, verse 19, he said unto him, go in peace. And so he departed from him, a little way. because he didn't, he's like, hey, that's that's your life, that you got to make your decisions. But go in peace. I hope all the best to you. So let's go. Verse 20. Now let's go to the conclusion of this story. All right, Gehazi is the servant of Elisha, the man of God. And he said, behold, my master has spared Naaman the Syrian, and not receiving at his hands that which he brought. But as the Lord liveth, I will run after him and take somewhat of him. And so he's like, Gehazi, he's like, man, he's like, he had all this money, he had all these riches, and my Elisha don't want to take none of it. He's like, he tripping. I'm gonna go to Naaman and just say, like, hey man, my master was tripping. He's like, hey, let me get like 10,000. Let me hold that from you. Because Gehazi, he was motivated by his greed, right? So verse 21. So Gehazi followed after Naaman. When Naaman saw him running after him, he lighted down from the chariot to meet him and said, is all well? And he said, all is well, my master has sent me, saying, behold, even now there be come to me from Mount Ephraim 2 young men of the sons of the prophets. Give them, I pray thee, a talent of silver and 2 changes of garments. So not only he's lying on Elisha, because Elisha didn't tell him this, but he's just doing this just for a talent of silver and 2 changes of garments. That's like 2 clothes, 2 outfits, and like $50. That's the greed that he has. He's like, if you want to just give, like, hey, can I get something just for me? But he didn't have to lie on Elisha. He's going above and beyond in regards to that wickedness. It said the Bible tells us not to be over wicked. And that's why I tell you, if you want to sin, if you want to do dirt, do your dirt, but don't lie on somebody's name. Don't say that the Most High told you to do this. No, just say that you want to do this. The Most High will respect your honesty to want to sin rather than you trying to justify your sin. That's what it's like. That's the spirit of Adam. Adam was trying to pass it to Eve. If Adam would have just, been accountable for his own action, who knows what would have happened? But he's like, you can't go over and beyond your wickedness. That's going too much. All right. And that's my perspective on it. People may disagree, but hey. But 23, and Naaman said, be content, take 2 talents. And he urged them and bound 2 talents of silver in 2 bags with 2 changes of garments and laid them upon 2 of his servants, and they bare them before him. So he got some quick cash. And when he came to the tower, he took them from their hand and bestowed them in the house, and he let the men go, and they departed. And he went in and stood before his master. And Elisha said unto him, whence come thou, Gehazi? He said, where you come from? And he said, oh, thy servant went nowhere. He went, I ain't go nowhere. You can't lie to a prophet of the Most High, man. You can see it, man. And he said unto him, went not my heart with thee? He said, my heart went with you. When the man turned again from his chariot to meet you, is it a time to receive money and to receive garments and olive yards and vineyards and sheep and oxen and men servants and maid servants? So he's asking that rhetorical question. He's like, he's like, I was with you. He's like, you're my servant. He's like, I'm connected to you on this very spiritual level. I'm your teacher. So you can't just do things and act like I'm not going to be aware of it. So he's like, is this the time that you receive money? This is the time you should be developing your skills and learning under me. But you're worried about money. So you trying to gain, a quick buck with the word of the Most High. That's like a lot of these pastors getting caught up in the news, because they using the word of God as like a hustler. They trying to hustle the word of God. They ain't really trying to preach. They ain't really trying to heal people. So it's like, this ain't the time to be trying to accumulate stuff. He's like, especially in Elisha time, Israel's about to be destroyed. It's about to be taken over by Babylonian. And so it's like a Babylon. So it's like, this is the time we have to start building and start, getting the people ready for that captivity. So he's like, y'all, your mind is on the wrong thing. So verse 20, when he said that, the leprosy therefore of Naaman shall cleave unto you and unto your seed forever. He went out from his presence, a leper as white as snow. So the same leprosy that Naaman had that caused his skin to be deformed and also to turn white and pale, now is on Naaman, his seed forever. So who knows? We might have some descendants of Naaman out here with that skin complexion. But who knows? Alleged. All right. And this is also a scripture I want to quote. 1 Titus 6:6. But godliness with contentment is great gain. For we brought nothing into this world, and it's certain we can carry nothing out. And having food and raiment, let us be therewith content. But they that which be rich fall into temptation and the snare, and into many foolish and hurtful lusts, which drown men in destruction and perdition. For the love of money is the root of all evil, which while some coveted after, they have erred, or they have erred from the faith and pierced themselves through with many sorrows. So, the love of money gets you into trouble. It's like it's good money. At the same time, the Bible tells you that money answereth all things in Ecclesiastes, but at the same time, the love of money is the root of all evil, because the love of money makes you do things that you would never do. Like the OJ said, for the love of money, you will kill your own brother. For the love of money. People do that. For the love of money, they do anything. They'll do things they never think of. So that's why you gotta stay away from that. Conclusions. All right. So the Most High's ways are simple, not necessarily easy. And the simplicity, or what some people would call boring, is to keep us content and protected. So, the Most High's ways, they're not boring. They shouldn't be boring to us, because every day his mercies are new every morning. So we should be, trying to figure out more things every day. He has things in our mind every day, things of understanding, things to learn about, things to reflect on, whether it be the wisdom of the Most High, the poetry of the Most High, the history of our people, the history of the Bible, things that we should be reflecting on daily. These things aren't boring, to the spiritual person, but to the carnal person, of course, they want the carnal lust, they want the pleasures of life. So that's why it's like every day is a battle to fight off that carnal man and to put on the new man, put off the old man of Adam, and to replicate the spirit of Christ, the new Adam, the renewed man. So that's what we have to do, and that's how we have to embrace that. So because it's a lot of times, I know a lot of cats, a lot of Israelite cats, Hebrew cats, they like to talk about the holidays in regards to like certain Christmas and Thanksgiving and stuff like that. They try to talk about the paganism and stuff, but it's really, I don't really get into that as much, because it's like it's not really about just exposing what that is about, because there's so much information already out. But it's more about doing the things that we should be doing. Like it's like, yeah, it's like that's those holidays for the world, but do you embrace the Most High's days? Do you love his Sabbaths? Do you love his new moons? You love his feast days? Those are the days that are really spiritually connected to the Most High, and we should be embracing those, and we should be having a sense of celebration with those days, as much as when we used to be in the world and we celebrated the earthly world days. So that's just something to think about. So hopefully y'all enjoyed that. All right.